I just smoked a Prius off the line.
Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join me here in Los Angeles at the auto show. You guys know we filmed a few videos here, but this is one you've been asking me to drive, so, well, I'm gonna go for my first drive in the Solo. It's gonna be really cool. I'm gonna tell you all about the car first, take you on a quick tour, and then of course we're gonna get it out on the road and drive it around Los Angeles. So, overall, this isn't our full in-depth review. This is just a first taste, so please forgive me if some of the information isn't all totally accurate. I know you guys love the nerdy stuff, but I can tell you what I know. We're gonna take it for a quick drive, and yep, the alarms work pretty well. Under the hood of the Electra Meccanica Solo, we have a place for a charger. This one's actually in the trunk, I'll show you, but it's fairly simple up here. You have your brake fluid, coolant. It's actually pretty interesting that this car has an active thermal management system. So in theory, it can cool itself down. Now, since it has air conditioning, one of the questions I have is, can it cool to subambient conditions, which is, can it cool the coolant cooler, that's a lot of cool, than the outside air temperature? The answer is I don't know. This, again, is a very early first taste. We're just at an auto show. We're gonna potentially spend some more time with this vehicle. If you guys like it, you ask questions, we'll spend some more time with it. Perhaps we can ask some of the engineers some of the nerdy questions that we have. But overall, let's just go through the concept and everything. First off, starting with price, about 18 and a bit, I believe. And so that's before all of the tax credits and incentives. Now, I don't know exactly what this qualifies for because it's technically registered as a motorcycle and not as a full vehicle. So I don't think the full $7,500 applies, but it might. You guys check with your own tax situation. But either way, 18 grand's pretty interesting. We recently reviewed the Archimoto FUV on this channel quite heavily, actually, and took it on a huge road trip all around Oregon. And that car, I think, was $25,000 and didn't have doors or anything like that. Now, this is a Solo because it only has one seat, which is pretty interesting. So we'll go in and talk about that. First off, exterior design. The alarms are going off here at the show. So the alarms work. Look, and the lights even flash, Jordan. Take a look. Look at the car with the alarms. Look at that. That's so funny. This is the nature of just doing our reviews at an auto show. They're working to find the keys to get the alarm to shut off right now. We'll just wait for it. And I guess while it's beeping, let me at least tell you, yep, it's built in China, this particular one. However, the company based in Vancouver. Anyway, they're based in Canada. They're built in China for the Chinese market. They've had them for a couple years there. I think we've only had them for a short period of time here. But then they're moving their engineering and manufacturing, I think, to Mesa, Arizona. So they will eventually be a American-produced car, which is going to be pretty interesting. It's so funny, actually. We were listening at the booth here to some of the Solo representatives, the Electra Meccanica representatives, and they're like, people are coming up very curious about the safety of this car and compared to a motorcycle. Well, I don't know. We're not going to crash test it. I don't know what the crash test stuff is, so I'm not going to comment because I don't know. But they're like, it has a steel bar inside. Look, it's literally got a roll cage. So it's got to be the safest thing on the road. I just love that explanation. And everyone was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, what? Anyway, I don't think it's unsafe. I'm not saying it is. I'm just said that it's just funny from a perspective of buyers, I don't know, or people looking, that steel bar gives it the impression of safety. Overall, three-wheeled vehicles are super interesting because there's a couple downsides to three-wheel vehicles. The first is you can never avoid potholes. If you try and straddle it, you'll hit it with the rear wheel. If you try and go around it, you'll hit it with one of the side wheels. So from a ride comfort perspective, maybe not set up to be the best. From a power perspective, some of them are front-wheel drive like Archimotos, and they get torque steering and pretty weird. This one's rear-driven, and it's 56 horsepower. And what was that? 53 horsepower. I'm so sorry. Jordan behind the camera knows all the specs. 53 horsepower, 103 pound-feet of torque, somewhere around there, on a full charge, of course. It's belt-driven. And we've driven EVs with belts before, like the Zero motorcycle. And we actually snapped the belt on the Zero SR because we were wide open throttle, hit a bump, tire came down, and poof, exploded the belt. Just the nature of a lot of torque. So I guess they said they've never had issues with belt drive systems on these. I don't know, would I have preferred sort of like a bevel drive or some sort of drive shaft to the rear? Yes, but all good. I think we're going to try it out. We'll see how it feels at least. 17.1 kilowatt hour battery pack here, roughly. We don't know if that's gross or usable. Let me show you how you charge it, by the way. Oh, and the battery pack is here in the side, which is so interesting. So the battery itself is contained under the door sills there, which is neat. Listen to the door thunk. Actually, like crazy, solidly good. It's actually, it's like G-Wagon and then Solo and the door thunk. It's really good. Come around back here. Under here is where you charge it. So you lift the license plate up, which is really almost inconvenient because you can't see where you're supposed to plug in. You got to like put your head all the way down here, and then you slowly open the charge port. J1772. They couldn't tell us what the charging onboard charger capacity was. Again, this is more auto show, not like the nerds that we normally get to go to when we do product launches and stuff, where I can like ask the guy who made the thing. However, we did some quick math and came up to about 6 kilowatts, so it's probably like a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger, plus or minus. It's better than a 3.3 kilowatt onboard charger, so we're really happy about that. There's also a trunk space. Thank you, Jordan, for popping the trunk. I was trying to figure out how to. There's a little switch inside, or you can do it from the key. And you can see inside the vehicle, it has trunk space. You also have nice sound deadening material and a tow hook there, which is cool. And then this is your charger, which they don't want us showing this, but I'm going to show you because it's really funny. I don't know if this is, they said this is not normal, but it has a Bmw Charger in it. Only the best. So this is actually like the turbo cord. It's a 110 or 120 240 switchable connector. Pretty good connector, but it's an odd plug that most Americans don't have in their house. It's like an air fryer plug in a garage. I think it's a 620 is what it is. So you get 515 or 620. Anyway, jump inside. Actually, I will jump inside. You can't jump inside with me, but I'm gonna have a seat in here. The cool thing is you can enter from one side. Whoa, gotta put the seat back. You can enter from one side and exit from the other. So you could just slide through. It's so neat. I've never been in a car where I've had two doors that I can just open at the same time. Woo! I guess if you really need to slow down, active arrow, just pop the doors.
You slide out one, and the valet will slide in the other.
Yeah.
The
It's so neat. So power steering, very cool. So essentially you have a shifter here on the right. You have reverse, kicks on the backup camera in the center. That's really nice. Neutral, which is just coasting, and then drive, which makes sense. We're going to try all the power regen stuff. We're at 96% state of charge in this one. This is not the one we're driving. We're actually driving one outside, but I figured we'd take you on a tour in here. Cup holder, take a look at this. I could put my Starbucks in there. I just need to make sure I get out of that door instead of this door. So that's quite an interesting thing. Looks like it has a sound system, one of those like single DIN sound system units. We have climate control here too. Let's take a look at how this works. So mode, windshield face, so you can do windshield and face. You can do fan up and down, and you can go cold or hot. So let's see if it actually has a dedicated heater. So I've put it to full heat. I bet it does. And we'll let this thing go. Inside I have a few more control switches as well. I have my electric parking brake, so I can obviously remove the brake or put it on this way, which is interesting. The light didn't change though, but I did hear it work. And then, yeah, it actually has a heater and it's working and it is heating things up. It is getting warm. It didn't say anything in the material, so I figured I'd try that, and we'll just put the temperature to off. And the nice thing is you can have it set so it doesn't do heat or AC, but then blows ambient fan to preserve range. I haven't talked about range yet, by the way. It's rated at 100 miles. I believe EPA combined is 85 miles per charge, roughly. This is the information I could get from some of the guys. And then you have just normal things like headlights, parking lights, and off. Off and parking lights make no difference. You have wipers, or wiper, I should say. You have a heated seat, singular. You also have a little microphone here that doesn't seem very well attached, if I'm honest. I guess that's for your Bluetooth system in the JVC. So I think that's a 2 or 4 speaker system, perhaps. What else is there? There's a horn. Okay, there's no horn, but we know the alarm works, so what's up with that? Maybe it's just disabled for the show car? I don't know. Mirrors over here, and then is there any adjustment to the screen? Yes, so there's two, look at this, there's 2 buttons in here. There's switch and set. So if I hit the switch button here, for example, then it shows me my trip's 2.9 miles. It actually doesn't show me anything different, but I can reset my trip by hitting set, I imagine. The answer is negative. Nothing's doing anything. So I guess I don't know. Oh yeah, reset my trip right there. And I think this is, yeah, making it brighter or darker. There we go. So the top one is brightness, the bottom one's your trip reset, no menus or anything like that. But what more do you need? It's actually kind of nice. You also have an adjustable steering wheel column, but it doesn't actually move. Wait, is that accurate? Oh no, it does go up and down, but really hard to move. Wow, see, this just feels garbage, I have to say. This particular component is not a quality material. Everything else though, honestly, is like way nicer than I was expecting for a little China-built thing. And not to say things in China aren't built well, this is my impression because I think I was expecting Candy EV. So I have a seatbelt on this side, one seatbelt, unlike Arkimoto that makes you put both on. And I feel like in a cocoon. I have plenty of headroom. I have LED lighting inside that I can toggle on and off. Take a look at this dual map lights up here that are really nice LED unit. Gotta love that. And overall, I'm really liking this thing. What do you say we drive it? Let's jump in, go outside, go for a drive, wipers on. In the Solo. This is my kind of car. I love weird stuff. So the only question is, which door should I exit from? I think I'll get out on this side. It's pretty low to the ground. There we have it. The Electra Meccanica Solo. Something you have been asking for me to drive for a long time. Can't wait to have a go. And honestly, I think I'm actually very impressed with the specs, the kit, the range. The only thing that doesn't seem that great is the power, 53 horsepower, but we'll give it a go. By the way, it weighs like 1,700 and a bit pounds, so it's pretty heavy actually, which maybe will make it pretty safe. I don't know. I don't think any airbags or anything like that. It's got the steel bar. Let's go drive it. You join me now inside of the Solo EV. Jordan's actually in another Solo because it's a one-seater. I guess that makes the name Solo. How is it over there, Jordan?
So what threw me off was the seatbelt coming from the right side. You don't think of that as a driver.
Yeah, it's like a passenger seatbelt. And so when I buckle up here, yeah, that's pretty interesting. This is gonna be fun. We're on the phone. We're gonna have like a little dual review. Let's try some air conditioning while we're at it. I got the heated seat on and it's really freaking strong.
You want low or high?
I'm on high and it's burning my butt.
I'm gonna go headlights on, need to drive. You're gonna follow me, right, George?
Yeah. Do you want me to?
First off, can we talk about the seating position?
Yeah.
I don't know how to adjust the backrest.
I'm in a rocket ship.
Oh my God, the air conditioning compressor is so loud. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. We're just gonna go with ambient air. So I can go temperature off, but fan on 1, and then I can get the air vents away from the cameras. We had a good sound system in there. Someone was jamming out to some rap music in this thing. The headlight LEDs are all different colors because I think they've aged poorly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, all right.
Whoa, we're going. Whoa, when you hit the throttle, the rear lifts up.
Yeah, wow, that's something else.
I've never experienced that before. It goes what on the back end.
All right, how's your brake pedal feel?
I haven't really, soft, but not terrible actually. I gotta let these guys cross. Hell yeah, everyone loves the Solo. That's what I'm talking about.
Thumbs up from everyone. We're gonna get more looks than that guy with the McLaren or the Lamborghini.
I'm pulling out. Man, it feels so good. It's wild when you juice it. It's pretty spicy. So the throttle's top hinged and my foot fell off the bottom.
Yeah.
Whoa. Brake pedal, I don't think does any regen. Yeah, no, we'll have to play around with it. Steering is really light. So there's no auto hold. When I lift off the brake, it creeps forward, but it's really kind of a smooth. You can't, oh, I had it on mute, sorry about that. It's wild, it lifts when you floor it. Oh, she almost just hit the Range Rover. Yeah, 3 wheels is not always the best because you just hit everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You are zigzagging back there.
Yeah.
This is great fun. Big power. Oh, it's pretty smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, the ride comfort is better than I expected.
Yeah, it is. It feels solid. I feel like the seating position isn't totally center. Is it just me, or is the steering wheel to the right a little bit?
Mine feels centered, I think.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. So the big question is, will it let me power brake it? Oh, when you put your foot on the brake, it doesn't let you get any juice. So I'm gonna try a launch. I'm gonna I'm full throttle, pop off the brake, go. Lifts up, baby purrs. It's pretty slow, actually.
Yeah.
53 horsepower, and at 55% state of charge, maybe not all of it either. It is nice that it has heat and AC, though.
Yeah.
So the steering wheel doesn't come close enough to me.
Yeah.
How is it back there?
For someone who doesn't really care about any speed at all, it's actually fine. I don't...
Can you leave me some distance behind soon to let me know when? Because I want to do like a full brake test.
Yeah.
I don't think it has ABS, but I want to test.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels solid. Like, I have plenty of room in here. I love the situation with the doors.
I have way more space than the Miata.
So the pedals are still a little weird. Like the top mounted throttle is a little bit odd. I like that you can dance the rear end and make it kind of twerk a little bit. See that?
Kind of bumpy.
Yeah, it's.
Here's suspension back.
I'm twerking it.
This is the car you can twerk in.
I can twerk my smart car on the handbrake too. So yeah, I mean, look, there's two different sides of this. One is like the silly, I'm gonna have fun, like hanging around urban environments, squeezing through traffic in this thing. The other side is like, this is actually kind of a useful vehicle for small fleet operations, like delivery fleets for like food and like Paul Blart security cars.
Logistically, having a door on both sides can be good because you can really park this in a tight space or against a wall and just get out the other side. But I'm guessing 2 doors is something that does make it heavier. Like I'm
just kicked on.
I'm like, how could they save weight?
I'm twerking it. That's how you gotta drive it. Just throttle off, throttle off. So in terms of regen, it does give you a little bit off throttle. And then,
Yeah, not much.
no, almost none. And then brakes give you not much either. I don't think you're gonna be able to get over here, so we'll see you. Oh no, you got it.
I am a torpedo. This is a land submarine of speed and power.
Yeah, baby, this thing freaking boogies. Whoa.
So comical in front of me. Like, you guys are just characters in some weird...
So the heated seat is coming and going in cycles. It turns on and then shuts off, and it got cold, and now it's randomly warming up again.
Are you on low or high?
I'm on high.
Oh, okay.
You gotta test it to the max, you know our job.
Well, I'm testing low.
You're testing low. That's great. We can do 2 tests at once. Okay, what other things does our audience want to know? Power steering makes dry steering pretty easy. Turning radius seems pretty good, actually. Yeah, okay. I don't know. It just seems pretty maneuverable. The weird thing with the 3-wheeler, though, is you feel like you're sitting in a 2-wheeled device, but you're as wide as like a normal car. This is still less wide than a normal car, but
Yeah,
it feels...
You look way narrower than everyone else, but it doesn't feel that narrow in here.
The logo of the Electra Meccanica Solo just reminds me of like a Peugeot badge.
Yeah, it does. Is that a unicorn?
I don't really know what it is. I can't stop hitting the throttle to make it dance.
Your guys' testicles are perfectly opposites.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, great.
All right. So, I mean, look, I'm just gonna hold back and then nail it. Ready? See if you can keep up with me. 3, 2, 1, throttle. Oh yeah, wide open, baby.
You can do a brake test if you want.
Yeah, tried. Just rolled into it. Had a lot of braking before it locked up. Oh, smooth-ish. Smooth-ish. It feels solid.
That was fine. That was an $18,500 bump.
Oh, now the AC compressor's ramping up real fast. I wonder if I'm gotten the drivetrain hot. You hear? I don't know. Is yours cooling off at all?
Yeah, I hear a fan, I think.
Yeah, mine's just going zzz, just running the AC compressor.
Yeah.
So I have...
There's so much leg room in here.
Yeah, so I guess the seat can go pretty far back. I have it as far back as it can go. And like, yeah, now I got double AC compressor running. This thing's...
It's completely silent in here.
Wow, I wonder... Well, it's also because I have it on one cool. So if I just turn it back to no more air conditioning, more or less. It just seems very light on the steering, like almost too light to me, but whatever. It's fun. This is not meant to be like a perfect machine. This thing's 18 grand. Let's see if we can drift it. No, it had traction control.
Little tiny bit sideways.
So, yeah, I lost my phone here. It just has, so it has torque management on the rear axle, they were saying, and it absolutely did that there. So when I nailed it mid-corner, it spun up and then it cut power, and then, yeah, then it killed the fun. But you could absolutely slide this thing around. But I've never had a machine that lifts up when I accelerate. It's the weirdest sensation. It's so different than anything else that leans back under throttle. It's like a helicopter leaning forwards.
Yeah.
And something else to note is the insane blind spot.
Oh, you mean all of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally a huge blind spot. But Jordan, it's okay. We have a roll bar.
Yeah. There goes an i3
with the same charger.
I can't believe you're just allowed to park on the street in the middle of traffic.
So the low seat warmer is a nice low. It's just a little bit there. I like that.
Okay.
That's how I would use
You
it.
have a little drag race here, Jordan?
Oh, someone's cutting me off.
Major drag race between us two.
I'm gonna watch.
Yeah. Oh, green and go! Oh, smoked her! Hell yeah. Committed. Staying in it too. Woo! Absolutely demolished. Going for the flyby, and I'm ducking back in. That was awesome.
It is decently quick, like not
I
fast.
mean, it's fine. I think if my smart car is a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, the brakes seem really undersized. That was to the floor and it didn't even like lock up.
Yeah.
They're responsive when you stand on it though. Yeah, but I'm going to the floor and it does not have good braking performance.
Oh,
Like, at all.
if this had twice the power and twice the brakes, I would just have so much fun.
You're absolutely right. It needs twice the power and twice the brakes, or maybe 4 times the power. What happens if I put the parking brake on? Parking brake on. Oh, when you hit the throttle, it releases the parking brake. It's like really well thought out, like a normal car does that. Like, that's cool. It's pretty well integrated.
Yeah, that was actually good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised of that level of integration in something like this, to be honest. Like, that's pretty neat.
It is fun to be like single DIN head unit. They just threw it here off the shelf from Walmart.
It's literally from Walmart. You probably go different colors too on it. And it was so funny. They were trying to set up our Bluetooth and they were like, yeah, we just can't figure it out. We need to spend more time with these, don't you think, Jordan? This is actually, seriously, significantly better than I was expecting. Like, when you compare this to Archimoto, this is 10 times better.
Really?
Yeah, it's just as fast. I mean, feeling to me, we can set up a drag race. It's got really, actually not terrible steering. you know, the motor lifting up thing's really weird, but at least it's rear driven. The one thing I don't like is the belt drive. To me, that just seems like an unnecessary like component. Like, let's get a nice physically mounted drive shaft back there, especially if you're spinning up over a bump and then it catches, but I guess that's why you have your torque management. I will say though that its version of traction control kicked in seemingly a little late, I will say, but it doesn't make that much torque. What I think we need is like a Solo R. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just smoked a Prius off the line.
Damn. I'm gonna do a brake test. Hold on tight. So it goes and it locked up there just at the last second. No ABS, nothing like that.
Little puff of smoke. Front left one.
Yeah, because it just pulled right when I did that. They're all laughing at us. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun. Bouncing, full throttle. Yeah, it brings joy to people. What's a better, you know, situation than that? Whether they're laughing at you because you look stupid or because they think it's fun, it doesn't matter. They're laughing.
Regardless, you're improving people's day.
Chicane.
Nice.
Yeah, that didn't feel so confidence inspiring. We need to take this up Angela's Crest. But around the city where it's meant to be used, like this thing freaking boogies. And, well, you're really working it around back there.
Oh, yeah.
See, the thing with this is, it's like, you can drive like such an asshole and no one's gonna care.
Yeah, they're just gonna laugh and be like, that's adorable.
Like, look at that idiot. And apparently it does 80 miles an hour, but one of the guys says he got it up to 82.
That sounds like a good top speed test.
Yeah, so Archimoto also does 80 miles an hour roughly. I think 87 if I remember correctly. It really goes past whatever they say. We need to do an Archimoto versus Solo because in that you get 2 seats, but then there's also Elio, which doesn't sell cars yet, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also Sondors.
Saunders is interesting because they're shoving 3 seats in there.
It's 3 seats. So yeah, I mean, and then there's Aptera on the high-end side of 3 wheels. So I think we should do a 3-wheel EV battle. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna kick on the chiller to full ice cold and just see what it does. So this is max AC. I'm not gonna go max fan because I don't want to blast the audio, but this is surprisingly comfortable and serene and seemingly well built.
The radio's really bad, but I can't tell how the audio quality is because there's no...
We are blowing out everyone's speakers at home because of the AC compressor in this thing. So yeah, like components like that, I guess, are not the most refined or insulated or dampened, but I guess it's got a little bit of charm and it does its core things actually pretty well. From like a motor side, it does cog a little bit. You hear that grrr, and that's just, you know, what could you expect from something like this? But it's just, I guess, seemingly rugged. Like I wouldn't think twice about driving this on the highway. It feels great for that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Better put together than I expected, but you can't come in here with the expectation of like a modern Civic. Like it's still worse than the cheapest of any of those brands.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as good as like the most entry-level basic 4-wheeled car from an established automaker.
Yeah, but EV wise, I mean, what's the next cheapest EV on the market that's enclosed?
Yeah, I don't know. We should research, but people know to not go for us for well thought out opinions, so.
Off the cuff opinion though.
Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. Right there, neat. So I guess wrapping it up, Jordan, your design take on this, because I think this is really a stupid looking vehicle. It does nothing for me at all, but also it's so bad that it's kind of like a cute ugly puppy that's like, or an ugly puppy that's so cute that you're like, oh, I kind of adore it.
It does about the same as Elio for me. It's ugly, but it works because it's comic relief.
I'm gonna park this thing over here, pulling up. I'm gonna go neutral, parking brake. Air conditioner is, yeah, so it's cooling drivetrain because I have climate control completely off and it's running the rear chiller. So I think there's actually 2 coolant loops in this car, Jordan. I think there's a front HVAC loop and a rear coolant loop for the high voltage systems, battery pack and maybe motor, but I don't know if that runs through a chiller or if it's just the front. So overall, I have to say, like, a lot to figure out here. Electra Meccanica said they could give us one for a week, right? Yeah, so we'll spend some time with one at some point.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very interesting vehicle.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. Hope you enjoyed this really enjoyable drive just around LA. I did. I'm actually impressed, really impressed. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.